Today I'll be presenting the video presentation I made for physical science explaining thermal energy. Thermal energy is basically the energy carried by heat. Common sources of thermal energy includes the sun, ovens, heaters, and stuff like that. But thermal energy is more complicated than that. So to further understand thermal energy, let's use the power of imagination. Picture Dave making coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning. He has a wife, 2 children, and is the CEO of a successful business. Now, him making his coffee requires heat, so obvious example of thermal energy. But technically, thermal energy exists everywhere in his room. His chairs, tables, walls, everything. And that's because none of those objects' temperature is at absolute zero. So Dave's got his coffee and walked outside to go to work, but when he arrived, he found out that overnight his co-CEO had taken over and gotten everyone to turn on him. He kicked Dave out and said he was fired. That wasn't thermal energy, by the way. Dave was pretty sad. He made himself another cup of coffee and went to the park and sat by the frozen lake. Here's a quick question. Between the ice on the lake and Dave's cup of hot coffee, which one of them would have more thermal energy? Now, you and your 3 brain cells would probably say the cup of coffee. You're wrong. When you answer the coffee, you were probably thinking about temperature. But temperature is different from thermal energy. The amount of thermal energy is affected by the mass of the object, unlike temperature. Well, you might say, but water freezes at 0 degrees, so the thermal energy of the ice would always be 0. Well, you'll be right. If 0 Celsius was the absolute zero, the absolute zero is 0 Kelvin, which is like negative 273.15 Celsius. So the ice would beat the coffee by its mass. Anyways, back to the story. So Dave tried to hide the fact that he lost his job from his wife, but she found out anyway. And Dave did the thing any rational human being would have done. He burned his house down with his wife and children in it. Because obviously, a wife whose husband is not a CEO anymore is worthless, and the children too, because why not? Hopefully you now understand thermal energy a bit better. If you don't, I'll burn your house down with you in it, because obviously people who don't know what thermal energy is are worthless.